Hey folks, Dr. Josh Packard here, Executive Director at Springtide Research Institute, and this whole video series we're talking about program evaluation. And I know that that can be a little bit intimidating because if you're running a program, if you're involved in sort of the operations of that program, we can be wondering like, what is that program evaluation going to show about my program? And I wanted to talk just a few minutes here before we get into the rest of the series, the nuts and bolts about how to do it. With why you shouldn't necessarily be intimidated or threatened by that. And what happens, I think, in a lot of cases is that we run across clients who are like, I know this program works. We don't need to do an evaluation because, I can see the evidence of it. I feel like it works. You ever say that or hear people say that? Well, I think that's a really great place to start. We want to start with your feelings, but we can't stay there. You're closest to the program. You know what's going on. At a very gut and basic level, you know what's going on. You know what's working. You probably know what isn't. Probably. But we know that our feelings and perceptions can also deceive us sometimes. They're subject to, numerous biases, both cognitive and social, that we may or may not even be aware of. So while our feelings are a great place to work from as we start thinking about how to evaluate a program, we know that we're going to need solid evaluation evidence and some hard data to go with those feelings if we're going to have confidence moving forward. We also know that if we're going to be communicating with people outside of our organization, or even maybe inside the organization but outside of our unit, to justify our program or to expand it, to get more money, to get more resources, we're going to need to be able to show a lot more evidence than just our feelings. Whenever we're coaching potential clients through this part of the research process, I'm reminded of this stand-up routine by Mike Birbiglia called My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, where he's describing how he argues with his girlfriend. And I recommend going to watch the whole thing. I'm not going to try and do it for you here, but I'll just summarize. He says that she will often end their conversation by just saying, "That's how I feel." And he goes, "That's not an argument. Like, we're not even in an argument right now because you didn't have an argument." And then she'll say, "I just won that argument." And Mike says, "That's not even possible based on the definition of what an argument is." And his girlfriend responds with, "I just won that argument. That's how I feel." Which I think, might resonate for a lot of us who have been in relationships like that. Maybe you argue with your significant other that way. And while that might work to win an argument with a significant other, it's not going to be enough to simply stand in front of a funder or your board or your manager and say, "My program is running excellently. We should get a whole lot more resources. We're having amazing impact. That's how I feel." They're going to want proof, not just feelings. And I think a lot of people get nervous or scared of what the results of an evaluation are going to show. They're maybe going to, they're worried that they're not going to align with what they've been feeling to be true all along. It maybe won't uncover the impact that they've been seeing firsthand. But I want to assure you that in all of the years that we've been working with mission-driven organizations doing program evaluations, that has very rarely been the case. Again, you know your program. You know if it's working. A good program evaluation doesn't measure whether the program is working or having an impact. It measures how it's having an impact. It measures why it's having an impact. And it's this last piece where we actually do see a lot of confusion. Often a program leader knows that a program is working, but without hard data, it can be really difficult to pinpoint exactly why that impact is occurring. Once you know why, it means that you can probably stop doing some of the things that you're currently spending time, money, and other resources on, and free up those resources to put into the areas that are the real source of impact. In some really especially good situations, we've even had clients come and tell us that for years they had kept their program basically the same, even the parts that they hated, and we all have the parts of our programs that we don't necessarily like, but we do them anyway, it's part of the job. But they told us that they had kept them intact because they could see the overall result. They could see what happened when people went from the beginning to the end, and the end results were amazing in the program. And it wasn't until they came and worked with us and we were able to show them, "Hey, look, this is the part that's working. This is where that impact is coming from. This is sort of working but could be improved or maybe even done away with." And they realized that that part that they hated all along actually wasn't making that much of an impact, and they got to stop doing it, and they were thrilled. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but it happens more often than you might think. So in conclusion, I just want to say that we know that feelings are a great place to start, but they're not a good enough place to make the case for your program. And I'm here to tell you that a good program evaluation doesn't have to be scary or threatening. The key is to focus on the source of impact, the processes that make a difference, as well as the overall outcomes. We would love to help you with your program evaluation. We have a whole custom research line here at Springtide. You can watch the rest of these videos and you can sort of see some of the things that you can do on your own, and we would love to resource you in that way. If you've got a project that is just sort of beyond your scope or capabilities, we'd love to talk with you about that too. I'm Josh Packard. You can email me, josh@springtideresearch.org, or you can even email our head of research directly. She's Megan Bissell, megan@springtideresearch.org.